এটা অডিও ভিডিও না আছে, ভিডিও আছে না
অফলাইন ক্লাস চলে
আপনি যদি লিখতে দেখতে চান তাহলে কিন্তু
এটা আমার রুম না,
ওই এটা উপরে চার কোণ আইকনটা দিতে
কোথায়
ওই উপরে আইকনটা ওই যে চারটে স্কয়ার আছে না, এই চারটে স্কয়ার উপরে,
হ্যাঁ এটা তোমরা নিজে ওখানে চলে আসবে। আর ঠিক আছে, এটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট, ফ্রেমে কিরকম আসছে এটা বোঝার জন্য। আর স্ক্রিন শেয়ার কোথায়,
প্রেজেন্ট নাও, প্রেজেন্ট নাও
গিয়ে তারপর স্ক্রিন শেয়ার হবে। ঠিক আছে, ওকে এবার ট্রাই করে নেবো কি
প্রেজেন্ট নাও করে বলবেন যে
your entire screen
বা উইন্ডো বলতে পারেন।
কিন্তু তার আগে মিনিমাইজ করে আমাকে ওটা ওপেন করে দিতে হবে।
না স্যার, আপনি উইন্ডো বললে আপনাকে উইন্ডো সিলেক্ট করতে হবে। উইন্ডো বলুন, উইন্ডো ক্লিক করুন। আচ্ছা, এটা স্যার ওপেন করে নিতে হবে।
ও তাহলে তো এন্টায়ার স্ক্রিন হবে না, ওনাকে আমিও দেখবে আর স্ক্রিনও দেখবে কি বলবো না। আমি চাইছি কি ওনাকে শুধু স্ক্রিন, ফুল স্ক্রিন, আমি শুধু ওখানে ভয়েস হবে ওই সময় আমার।
আপনাকে ওরা দেখতেই পারবে
না, কি করে হতে পারে?
আপনি ক্যামেরার সামনে আছেন মানে আপনারা ওনাকে দেখতেই পাবে। এবার উনি যদি এই টগল টোন করেন তখন দেখতে পাবে।
আমাকে নরমালি দেখতে পাবে, স্ক্রিন শেয়ার করার সময় তো আমি অফ হয়ে যাই নরমালি।
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Am I audible, sir? Hello.
Hi, friends. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Am I
Yes,
audible?
sir. Yes, sir.
Clearly audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Very
great.
warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, architect JP Agrawal graduated from MS University of Baroda in the year 1986 with 2 gold medals. He started his professional practice in 1988 under the banner Agrawal Agrawal and soon gained recognition as one of the leading architectural practice of Eastern region. In 30 years of their practice, they have completed more than 500 projects across 12 states of India. Few of their landmark projects include Infinity, Technopolis, and Belair. Their commitment towards environment and user-friendly design approach can be seen in their various platinum and gold-rated green buildings. This firm has many respectful awards in their merits, including Green Champions Award for designing the highest green floor space in the country by Indian Green Building Council, A+D Spectrum Architectural Award, UltraTech Excellence Award, and Achievers Award, Better City, Better Life Award for his contribution in the field of green architecture for Kolkata City. Now, I would like to request Sir to proceed further.
Hi, friends. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hello,
Yeah.
sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I'm glad to connect with you through this electronic media.
Yes, sir.
And we never used all this before. So this pandemic has taught us how we can use electronic media for our
Yes, sir.
education, for our meetings, for our presentations, and we can make better use of our time. We can cut our travel time, right? So
Yes, sir.
yeah, glad that I am here with you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Now, you see, you all are students, as I understand, from second year to final year, the 5th year.
Yes, sir.
I passed through the same phase, same process. Once upon a time, I was also in first year and I passed out with my thesis. And all the questions which you all have, I also had. So I tell you something about my college time, my mindset, my thinking, and the questions which I had in my mind. So when I joined architecture in the first year, in the first semester, I came with a lot of enthusiasm that I'm joining engineering college. At that time, the role of architect was not that popular. Most of the buildings were not even designed by the architects at that time. And we were not clear, we were not knowing that whether architecture is more about the art or more about the engineering. So eventually, when I joined, my aim was that once I pass through this 5-year course, I should be able to design the building. It means that I should develop a capacity and the knowledge by which I can design a building. So that was my aim. So when I started my first semester, we were given a various kind of an exercise. As you know, one of the important subject at that time was a basic design. And we had a wonderful teacher. I still admire and really miss him. He's fortunately I'm in Bengal, and that gentleman was also the Mr. Das, Bengali. And I tell you that he has played a very big role in developing my sense of aesthetics. So we were given a subject at that time in the size of the seat, which was double to A3, A2, close to A2 seat. And we used to, at that time there was no computer, so each and every work, everything was done through pencils, more of a pencil. Even the rendering, pen, etc. came at a later stage. Initially, we were not even allowed to use the pen, the rotary ink pens. I don't know whether you people have seen that rotary pens or not, but it was really fun to use that rotary pen and more of a pencil and all. Now, initially, I was given an exercise to draw 8 types of a grass on a sheet in the basic design. So I was not able to understand that how you can draw 8 types of a grass. And the kind of a grass which was given to us to draw as an example by Mr. Das were not looking like a grass. They were all merely a kind of a presentation by which you draw the lines which resemble to grass. So it was not a kind of a 3D picture by which you can see that, okay, you see the grass lawn, how the lawn will look like. So it was more of an architectural presentation of drawing the grass. And now, you see, all these things confused me a lot in the beginning. I just could not understand that what the hell I'm doing over here. I'm trying to draw the 8 types of a grass, and I want to design a building. How the two really, relates with each other. So that is one of the example I'm telling you where I had a huge confusion when I entered my course, where I started with my architecture course. And then from 2nd semester onwards, we were given a design exercise. So one of the first exercise was the riverside restaurant on a hill. So we all were given a site on which we were supposed to design a restaurant. Now, whatever the design we try to do and discuss with our teacher, the teacher asks, the first question the teacher will ask, what is your concept? Now, this bloody concept word I never understood at that time. That till at least 2nd year end, 3 exercise was done, and teacher is asking me, what is your concept? I don't know, at that time, neither I was good at expressing myself, but I can say that, whoever would have tried to express those all, you can say that making story out of it. So you design and then you make a story out of it, that this is my concept. Or maybe that you listen to some big architect stories and then you try to, portray something out of that and you narrate that, okay, this is my design concept. So to me, it was a fallacy. It was not a truth. It was not the thing which is coming straight from the heart. And, as if it was more of an expression to impress the teacher or to, prove that, yes, I do have a concept. But truly speaking, I tell you, at that point of time, at least I had no clue what this design concept in design is all about. Now, one fine day, what happened that we were taken for a tour to Ahmedabad, and we went to IIM Ahmedabad, the campus designed by Louis Kahn. And you believe me that, I was absolutely speechless, I just could not believe that I'm standing in front of a creation which is conceived by some human being. It was so different. And, that was the first time, as if, you are given an electrical shock, and you immediately, suddenly you realize that what design concept is all about. So the thing is that, when you have a very subtle design concept, it is very difficult to express. But something which you have like a, so dynamic, which is kind of a bombarding, you can say, the Louis Kahn design, I would say that only. It was kind of a bombarding on my mind, and it immediately made me realize that till that 1.5 years, what this design concept, I was always asked by my teacher, what that concept was all about. So, friends, you all are in a process of learning the design over here, and you all undergo these kind of questions, and sometimes you try to find the answers. But I will say very, very simple thing to you all. To me, be honest, be clear. If your concept, something you have thought about, good. Otherwise, I tell you another one example. We had Mr. Hasmukh Patel presenting his buildings in our college. We used to have a series of practicing architects visiting our faculty, our department, and giving their presentation. At that time, Hasmukh Patel Sahab has designed this Patang Hotel newly. It was a very, very new building, and at that time also there was two school of thoughts. Few people used to admire, and few people used to criticize it, that particular design. So after Hasmukh Patel Sahab showed his presentation, one of the students, of course he didn't have a guts to say that what is your design concept. So he said that, sir, what do you have to say about this building? It is having a lot of different views, in the architecture fraternity. So Hasmukh Patel Sahab asked only one question to that particular student: that did you like this building or not? So he said that if you like the building, the matter ends over there. Please don't ask any further questions. Why I did it like this? Why people are criticizing? What is happening? Nothing matters. If you like the building, it ends over there. So if at all when you design buildings, projects, I will say that, of course, design concept matters. But expressing the design concept by making out a story would not be right. Because, some point of time, even you will be misguided by doing so. So if at all you like doing something, and if you feel from inside that you are able to do the justice to the exercise, which has been given to you, that is enough. Trust me, that is enough. You don't have to justify it. This is what I firmly believe. Right? Now, once again, I would say that going through a process of this 5-year course, you all people will have a time to time lot of dilemmas, okay, on creativity, on style of architecture, and you will have a lot of influences. Today, in the world of internet accessibility, if you go to Pinterest kind of a site, and the kind of designs which you see on that, you all are bound to be, influenced by that. And some point of time you are going to be confused with that. And the worst part, that when you have a very strong influence of something, very, very subconsciously, high subconsciously, you try to imitate that. You capture that. Your mind captures that. So over to there, you have to guard yourself. or to that, I would say that you have to be extremely careful. And if at all you are liking it, a design, some design, you must know the context of it. I will show you some slides. So at that time, we'll discuss and deliberate this particular thing more in detail. That at one point, at one side, I am saying that whatever you like is okay. Don't think beyond. And another side, I will contradict myself, and I will say that okay, try to have a justification. So both the things exist together. So what I'm trying to say, probably I will be able to explain you better when I take you through some of the pictures. Now, the thing is that, what is creativity? We all feel from the core of our heart that we are in architecture, we are in this particular field, may not be a professional or as a practitioner, but in whatever the way, our job is to create. So when you say create, means that there has to be a creativity. So what is the definition of creativity? That is to me, it's a question which you have to answer to yourself and not to collect from me the answer. After we go through the process of, one slides from the pictures which I'm going to show you right now. So let's start with that. Friends, can you see the screen clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you see only the whole screen dark black and in the middle? Are we lost?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think the presentation is fine. Good with it. Now,
Yeah, thank you.
as I said that not you as a students, but all the architects today, after my 30-year practice, rather more than 30 years, I still sometimes feel that whether I am following the right direction or not. If you will go through the works of Frank Lloyd Wright, and you will see his works, his starting work when he left Louis Sullivan and started his own practice and did few of the bungalows. From there, he migrated towards the Guggenheim Museum. You see, there's a huge difference, huge difference from where he started and from where he landed by the time he was about 65 years of age. And you see the later stage of his work, and you will find huge style migration from where he migrated, from where he started. I love his works in the beginning also, but the work which he did in the beginning with a lot of you can say intricate details, decorative adoption of art, etc., etc. And if you see his work, say Falling Water and more particularly Guggenheim Museum, the two are completely different. And by that time, other two architects' work had also come into the light around the post Second World War, you can say, or maybe the post First World War, and till 1960-65, somewhere of that era. Le Corbusier, Miss Van der Rohe. These two, before Louis Kahn came, these two were again an influencing factor in deriving the style of architecture. And you'll find Frank Lloyd Wright moving toward the same direction. So there was nothing wrong. There was nothing wrong in migrating, giving up the earlier style, adapting to a new style, or even following somebody else's style, provided you are adapting in a very cautious manner. So let's start with here that let's ask very honest questions to ourselves that are we lost? And why I'm saying so is because these are the two pictures I have downloaded from internet only. You'll find hundreds of such pictures on the internet, and most of the architects dream such kind of a buildings. When you got a tools like Revit, SketchUp, and lot many on which you can do any kind of a building form, you tend to conceive, you tend to fantasize such kind of a buildings. Now the question is that yes, they are very creative, very good, very beautiful buildings, but are we able to justify this? So let's answer this question now. Second question which we ask ourselves, isn't this a madness? Is it important to be different at any cost? This is the problem, we all face today, because we all want to eventually be different, or you can say that we want to have our own personality. We all always want to be seen as original. So the question is that, is it important to be different at any cost? A very big question. Can we really create great scientists, a person whose brain is considered to be one of the most intelligent, and a thinker, even a philosopher? He said the secret to creativity is knowing how to hide your resources. Now, this particular quote is an eye-opener for all the architects. Now, I showed you first two slides, first two buildings. With that relationship, my question is, can we define natural forces? What are the natural forces? Any building which we design has to stand the test of time and the test of natural forces which are harsh time to time. So we have got the one force which is always prevails in a same manner, that is a gravity. The second is a earthquake, and third is the wind force. The earthquake and the wind force are not the constant always, but they come as a surprise to us, and you have to deal with that. So I talked to you about the gravity force. Means whenever you think of any building design, you have to think of a gravity. It means that anything which you design against the gravity, that is more particularly the huge cantilevers I'm talking about, the buildings which are having a very weird building form and are not so friendly to the gravitational forces. So you see, this is the building which is already constructed. This is again a very dynamic building design in which there is a addition to the heritage structure with a huge dynamic building standing on the top of the existing building. So there's another side of the thinking. At one side I am saying we think practical. At another side, Aristotle said no great mind has ever existed without a touch of madness. So friends, answer to each and every question which I raised till date, that can you differentiate between passion and madness? This question is an answer in itself, that there is a passion, there is a madness, but there has to be a difference. We have to understand while we design that are we designing out of passion or are we designing out of madness? When I relate madness, the name which comes to my mind is R.D. Burman. This is the music instrument, but in fact it's not an instrument. It's a part of some machine. R.D. Burman found it in some what do you call scrap store, and he converted that into an instrument. And this is the only one thing which I am showing you, but there are so many instruments which are invented by R.D. Burman from ordinary things, you know, which cannot be we cannot conceive as a music instrument. And when it comes to the madness, Antoni Gaudi, what kind of a building he designed? Now, we all are taught in history of architecture about the Gaudi architecture, and nobody could adapt what Gaudi did. And we also this building is a unique building designs which could never be adapted as an inspiration, as a base in our future designs following the time of Gaudi. I went to Spain, and naturally I wanted to visit Gaudi buildings, and I saw a completely different face of Gaudi architecture. Now, this is one of the top floor of the building which is designed by Gaudi, the structures which you saw. And I realized that he was in fact more of a structural engineer than an artist. He was a superhuman structural engineer, you know, and probably such brain never existed on this earth after Gaudi. So the style could not be adapted. So it was not a madness, it was something beyond that. And I will not be able to really communicate to you right now that what Gaudi's concept of structure and how his designs used to relate. But in one line, if I say that he simply followed nature. His inspiration most of the time was a tree. So, you know, he converted the structural design of a tree into a concrete trees, and whatever he designed, you know, it was only on the basis of a structural concept, merely on the basis of structural concept. Friends, today as a student, whatever you may do in college, you can fantasize anything. But after 5 years, when you pass out, you have to face the reality. And that reality is, hello, can you listen that? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Are you all able to listen what I am saying?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Okay, I thought that you are only seeing the slideshow and you are missing out at my speech.
No, it's audible, sir. It's comfortable.
I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Great. That's fine, yeah. So, you see, after 5 years, you all are going to face the reality, whether you join the architects college or you start your own with whatever the hope in your own small manner. You have to face the reality. And that is that is why I say that we are in a serious profession. Means if at all somebody comes to you, I want to make a house, then there will be three things which will demand from you. The first thing is his house has to be constructed, not designed, but constructed within his budget. Okay. The second thing which is going to demand that you have to give him a utility which he is looking for. And the third thing which is going to demand is a beautiful house. So if you design a beautiful house and if you lose out at the budget, you are gone. If you design a within a budget and a beautiful house, but it is not comfortable to live with, you are gone. So I say that we are in a very, very serious profession. We cannot use unlimited resources. So yes, economy matters. And if you look at the wider picture of our country, we must know that we are living in a poor country. We cannot use unlimited resources. Even if my client is rich, that does not mean that he can spend unlimited. And safety. I'll show you some of the slides which are the eye-opener for you. You might be knowing about it. Now, these are the building forms which you can see on Revit. And in Qatar, 1,400 migrant workers die while making a building, not the building has collapsed. So we can see the fancy building forms. In making that building, so many people die because it is so risky to construct that building. This is again one bridge, which was an iconic bridge somewhere in, I think, Vienna, Venice, sorry. The star architect had to pay £78,000 over bridge, too fragile for tourists. Can you imagine? This was the headlines. This was widely covered by the media. And it was exposed to the world that how we play with the safety aspect out of our fantasy.
Sir, your screen is not presentable.
Sorry?
Your screen is not visible. It is.
My screen is not visible.
Yes, it's in small size.
One second.
You have to enlarge it.
I have to enlarge it. Just a minute. Let me. Initially, it was visible.
Yes, sir. When it started, it's visible.
Okay. Let me start again then.
Yes.
Let me redo it.
Yes, sir.
Entire screen.
Can you see the whole screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Now it's clear. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
So I can go back if you not see some of the slides. Did you see this slide?
No, sir.
This
Yes, that's
one?
okay. What? Yes.
one,
We see
you've
that.
seen this slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you heard about my words that what about the human life and the safety, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So,
Yes, sir.
and all I said about the safety aspect.
Yes, sir.
Now, in this slide, there are two parts. One is showing the very dynamic building form, and on the next to that, there's a news where it was mentioned that 1,400 workers died in making the building. No, not that building had collapsed, not that some calamity happened. In making the building, 1,400 workers died. And this is a bridge in Venice on which so many accidents happened because of the faulty adoption of the material out of the fancy, and the architect was fined for that. So the question is that what is best design? Or rather say, anything like a best ever existed. So let's simplify it. There may not be anything like a best, but let's have a clarity of mind that how best it could be made. So should it be cluttered? Or it should be organized? So you saw the two pictures, the first one and another one. The first one which you saw, you'll find very dynamic or something different than what we see. And the right now, the one which you see on the screen, you'll find it's a simple box, which we used to do without computer aid also. Now, coming back to my experience, my favorite architect, Louis Kahn. This is what IIM Ahmedabad is all about. This is another design, Bangladesh assembly. And this is his third design. These are the hostel complex somewhere in Europe. Or maybe in America, sorry. So I leave it on you, on your judgment. I do not say that don't design dynamic building forms. I do not say that design only geometrical building forms. But at the same time, while we adopt any of the two, let us not adopt for the sake of it. Let us not adopt without any reasoning behind it. So what are the reasons? How we can list our priorities? Now in the process, let me tell you something about the social aspects involved in our design. This is a wonderful design of apartment somewhere in Scotland. The picture is not very expressive, but you can see the huge triangular balconies coming out of it. Again, extremely dynamic. Means I haven't seen myself a more dynamic apartment design than this. And you can see the people relaxing on the deck, which are semi-covered, partly open, partly covered. You see again a building with a large number of balconies and all studded with the plants. Today, in as many webinars which I attended as a speaker, most of the time the question was asked to me that, what is the takeaway from this Corona Bandh and lockdown period? So I always used to talk about the balconies. I know how people craved for the openness, to come out of the house, to meet the people, to feel socially connected. Now you look at this interlinked balconies. You can maintain the social distancing. You can be with each other. Yes, you can raise the question of privacy, but there's always a plus and minus of any design. and at the same time you are close to nature. So the thing is that, can we design more human-centric architecture? There's a wonderful narrow street of Europe. We have similar streets, many in India. And this is a wonderful design in Bali. It's a school. I'll show you more picture of this. While we get influenced by some of the buildings which I showed you earlier, let's have another examples. Let's relate with few more examples, and let us compare the two and try to find out that what the two are communicating, what we architects can learn from both. Okay, suppose I'm a billionaire and I want to have a house, and at the other side I am a you can say the middle income group, salaried class person, and I want to build my house. So the thing is that we are not Scandinavian country, we are India. This is in Singapore, which is again a rich country comparatively, this particular building. But in India, we just cannot ignore the economy. So we just cannot fancy the buildings which are designed in the western part of the world, which are the rich countries. And second aspect is the climate. Look at this particular design where how the natural air ventilation has been fully exploited in the human comfort. Third thing is the resource. It is a fully designed with the use of a bamboo. Can you imagine the scale, that how such a big scale is addressed merely with the natural material of bamboo without using a concrete and steel? And you see the more picture of this, I believe I'm sorry, I think that picture will follow a little later. Now, Gagani Museum, again I consider this a sensible design, although it is not as economical as we saw the previous example. But if you go into the full detail of the structure, you will realize that this is also one of the economical design solutions. Why? Because there is no column inside, and Frank Lloyd Wright had conceived this building as a self-supported structure, like a spiral. I moved into this building. This photograph was taken by me when I was in visited this building in Manhattan, and I was trying to move into a different corners to find out that how the load is transferred to the earth. And believe me, with all kind of plans and elevation in my hand, I could not figure out how exactly the load is transferred of such a huge structure. And it's a wonderful design. These are the few apartment buildings in Australia. You can see the veranda all along the apartment structure. And if at all I forget the cost aspect of the glass adapted to this, it is largely environmental friendly architecture. So you see that we have got so much to learn. Unlike what used to happen at the time about say 100 years back, or maybe say if I look at my own 35 years back period, the exposure was so limited, the resources were so limited. Today we are exposed to everything just at the click of mouse. You open the computer and you ask Google. It's a you can say the biggest blessing. Google. Ask Google. Just ask, I want to see this, and it is there in front of your eyes. immense resources and so many materials. I remember very clearly that during my time, there was only two alternatives, either a brickwork or a concrete, either exposed brickwork or an exposed concrete, or a plastered building, or a RCC structure. Today, the kind of a building materials which have come into the play, especially on the finishing side of the building, if not the structural side of the building, there is so much thing, so much. Now, let's go back to our heritage. This is Jaisalmer. I visited this. I consider one of the most wonderful heritage town of our country. And the sense of aesthetics, proportions. This building is not about the carving. It is more about the proportions. How they used to derive a proportions with the least number of resources available. They were not even having a T-square and Z-square at that time. And they could derive such wonderful proportions. And today we have got everything possible on the earth to derive the proportions. Now, again, this is a heritage structure in English style, where we see the wonderful adoption of wood into a building with a very sleek steel columns, and look at again the environmental aspect of huge verandas, facing the outside, and everything looks perfect to me in this building. Courtyards. This is the most common thing, maybe that over the period you people feel bored about it. But if you ask me, there's nothing to get bored about this, because there's nothing which can replace the courtyard. The one you see is a heritage style, our old courtyard in our past buildings. And now you see the unique use of adoption of the same element into a modern architecture. Nature. As I showed you about that Bali school, this is the same school. This is what I call nostalgic. It takes you into a different world altogether. But there is a context. If you are given a building to design on a high street, probably you cannot do the same architecture. So there has to be a context for that. You see the bamboo used in a multi-storied building. The same project, same building, is a bridge design out of it. So you can say that thesis in itself, this particular building, this particular project. So friends, end of the day, what are you looking for? What we crave for? What we want? What your heart wants? It is nothing else but a peace and happiness. We all want excitement. But after we get excited, we want peace, we want happiness. No excitement will last for long, but peace and happiness will last forever. This is what we all human are all about. Whatever the design of the building we may do, eventually this is what our DNA wants. I show you some of my designs, so I call it my madness. In Calcutta, I was designing this cluster of buildings, mass housing project with 8 towers, fairly congested. And I always used to wonder that, because of the limitation, I have to consume the FAR, I have to make the things, economically viable for the developer. So I got very little choice, in decongesting the designs. So how to get the more space, how to get the more ambience, more lifestyle amenities for the residents. So all the terraces I always used to find wasted, and we consider different building forms connecting the 8 towers at a roof level. And we thought that why can't we have a equal amount of open space at the roof? Unless they are connected, they will not be utilized, because individual piece of the roof doesn't make much sense. So we combined all the 8 towers and created a one big open space at about the height of 50 meters. And this is what we created for the residents, a different world in itself at the terrace level. This will have a 1 kilometer long jogging track, taking the whole thing as a full circle. And this is what it is. Somebody just met me yesterday. He went to the project where half of this is already executed top, and he expressed me that in reality the skywalk is looking better than what I see in the picture. This is the ambience we created on the roof. There is something for everybody, be it child, be it elderly, be it for youngsters. This is what I call a DNA. Evolution of a human and a tree. We all are evolved over the period of millions or the billions of years. Some DNA produce tree, some DNA produce human brain. Friends, you all are different. But at the end of the day, logic for all of you are the same. Yeah. So I think I've spoken enough. I tried to share my mind on my experience of my college time, my confusions, and from there in last 30 years, whatever I could gather, and today whatever the conviction I have in my way of designing the building, my thinking about the buildings, my thought process, etc., etc. So the message to all of you friends that it is certainly for second year there's a one way of looking at. For the people in the final years, there's another challenge, because right after passing out you have to face the realities of the world. Students in second year right now, they are free to fantasize. Unless you fantasize, you'll not be able to free yourself from the rigid ideas. So first, yes, you have to leave your lot of preconceived ideas and look at the world in a very open manner, and fantasize and move anywhere. You can afford to go anywhere, but once you reach final year architecture, you have to find your anchoring, and you have to become much more realistic, and a lot of responsibility we all have. And I think that this is only the form of an art. Architecture is only the form of art where you have to be fully responsible. You cannot imagine the level of responsibility we architects shoulder, be it for ordinary person who wants to make a very small house, the way the great architect Laurie Baker did it for so many poor people. It's worth a story understanding. Is a, I think it deserves, like, to me, a Nobel Prize. That kind of a work the Laurie Baker did in South. I saw a few of his buildings. I was lucky to visit a few of his buildings with him, and he used to tell us that person would come with merely 10,000 rupees to him with a small piece of land that I want to do a building, and how he addressed the requirement and how he justified that. It's really wonderful. Means that is what I say, that is the real solution, which we architects have to finally offer to this society. Apart from the making the landmark projects, landmark buildings, national icons, sometimes only few lucky architects get that opportunity to make a national icons. Not all of us get an opportunity. So it's something like that. We have to understand that what we will do day to day, and what we will do once upon a time. So both are having its position, its place in our profession, no doubt on that. But your day-to-day practice, your day-to-day architecture is going to affect the life of so many, which you have to finally keep in mind. And the creativity, definition of creativity, is not about the aesthetics. It is not about the facade design. It is more about addressing the human needs in a creative manner. Even the aesthetics does matter, but not aesthetics at the cost of human comfort, human economy, or utility factors. That is what I personally believe, and I think that with very open mind, if at all we look at and we consider all such things in our practice, probably each and every one of you has a capacity to create something new and stand out, maintaining your ethics, maintaining your the desire to be different, your desire to stand out.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Now, I will, if anyone have a question, want to ask with sir, so open forum discussion. If you want to ask something, students, faculties, please.
So, any questions from
any questions? Anything you want to ask sir or discuss with sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Can I ask?
Hi.
Sir, I just wanted to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask that in the beginning you were talking about concept and deriving ideas from the concept. So now, after so many years of your practice, means how are you still thinking of certain concepts, and is there any your style of concept that you have developed or that you follow in all of your projects?
See, first thing to me when I say about the concept of my design is a context. So you don't have to search for a context. Context exists. For an example, if you are designing something on a river side, the context exists. If you are designing something on a hill, context exists. If you are designing in an urban environment, the context exists. The requirement itself, for an example, you are doing a residential building, the context exists. If you are designing an IT park, you are designing a museum, you are designing a school. So every subject is a context in itself. Every location is a context in itself. Every climatic condition is a context in itself. So if you gather this information, And if you use this information as a concept without a fantasy to create a particular building form, without having any preconceived ideas about a building form, without any intention to stand out by making a building which will have a lot of clapping, that what a building form. If you forget all that, and if you just keep in mind that first I need to address these are the things, this is the basics of my design, then that itself will give you the concept at its own. You don't have to search for the concept.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yep.
Thank
If anyone participant want to ask question. Okay. So I end up with a vote of thanks. Our guest speaker, Architect JP Agrawal sir, respected faculties, and my dear students and participants. Good afternoon. My name is Kandar Rawal, HOD of Interior Design at APID. I've
Okay.
been great honor to propose a vote of thanks to all of who have helped us in making this webinar in great success. At Injector, I take this opportunity to place on a record of healthy thanks to speaker architect JP Agrawal sir for making excellent and interesting presentation on creativity in architecture. It was a phenomenal presentation, sir.
Thank
It
you.
has really inspired our next designer generations at APID. I also express acknowledgement to Parisar Trust, Principal Madam, staff, and Transcending Thursday team in support with IT team for providing encourage for this event to be a successful one. As on the program becomes successful without a team effort. So I extended my heartily thanks to our staff, student, and participants to their support during this event. Thank you one for all making this event successful with your active participant. Looking forward to have many such interactions in the interesting topic, sir. Yes, sir, it is very inspirational presentation. I'm presenting very deeply thanks to you. Take out time and join with us in digital media, sir. There is a participation form and feedback link is shared in chat box. So I'm requesting all of the participants to fill that form or feedback and see you on next Transcending Thursday event. Have a nice day, sir, and thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Have a nice day. All the best to all my friends. Thanks a lot to allow me to give this presentation. It was really a wonderful meeting all of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.